Welcome to Explore, Explain, Highlights. In this Highlights package, we'll be looking at Season 2, Episode 5, with our guest, Giorgia Lupi, discussing their project, Data-Driven Fashion Collection for And Other Stories.
For me, and I think that then we'll go into the And Other Stories project from here on. It's really a way for me to demystify the language of data even more, and to think about using data into what we wear, we consume, and we see every day, as if it was possibly really a language for everybody, as opposed to something that is only really available to expert or to people who already work with data. So that's pretty much an introduction on Pentagram and me at Pentagram. What they wanted to do in the beginning was creating a collection that was data-driven, and they knew, of course, that my work is data-driven, that could possibly tell stories of inspirational and aspirational women. And to communicate with, say, younger women that really, there's a space for them to thrive and to be in the world in a way that is about their achievement and what they can do. So that was really the brief. And it was very open. In the beginning, of course, we thought of saying, well, maybe we can visualize the 100 or 500 women who have been, achieving in their lives and their biographies. But then, together with them, the more we talked, the more we decided to focus on 3 women that we decided to, we actually selected together, because we also wanted these stories to be relatable. And so as opposed to having one aggregated data set about 100 people, we really we're digging deep into the stories of 3 women, their achievement, dissecting what they've done in their biographies in a way in which hopefully people can really relate and might want to wear these clothes and these pieces of garments because of the messages, but also because of the stories of these women.
That's fascinating. Yeah, so you could have explored the theme of inspirational women as a very broad, aggregated concept, but that would lack potentially that individuality. I think you're right there, and I think also, given your work and your background and your sort of signature style, it is very granular. It is very individualistic, I think. So I think that, to me, from the outside at least, it sounds like it chimes perfectly with what you tend to pursue.
Again, it's not it's this really comprehensive or scientific selection of these 3 women, but that was the why. And also about their 3 stories, where they come from and where they lived. So if you think about it, in a Lovelace, we go back to the 19th century, and then we have Mae Jemison and Rachel Carson, who are most contemporary. And the 3 of them together, I think, send a very interesting message, also because of their stories and their biography and the passion that they put into what they have done. But really, I think it's also important for me to say that I focused on their achievement and not on their lives and the fact that they were women. I really focused on their contributions to the world of the science that they were part of. We didn't talk about it, but for all the 3 patterns that, again, are primarily based on the work of the women, we also have some tiny biographical elements. And so there's a line that is Ada Lovelace's biography in a way, and her legacy underneath the pattern in the sweater. There's something really nice that is embroidered at the back of the dress for Mae, which is the biographical elements for that, and we have it for Rachel, and we have that for Mae as well. So there are tiny moments in which the lives of these women, which again are temporally sequential, gets explained, but this is not the main pattern. And it is true that not having biographies and timelines as the main pattern gave me a lot of freedom, but really the reason why I decided not to is because I didn't want to focus on the fact that these were women. I wanted to focus on the fact, on the achievements and really what they did, and not the obstacles that they needed to overcome. Because I think that this is much more of an aspirational and inspirational story rather than just telling the stories of their lives.
100%.
But it is true that then, of course, not having to respect, a date after another gives you freedom to build. I think the design process in general also for me is always about making sure that what we define with the client as a successful project stays with me and my team throughout the process. And so we
Right.
know that, again, it's not us saying, oh, we'll come back in 2 months, 3 months, and we'll show you what we have. It's really weekly reviews, weekly feedback, collaborating and being in conversation with clients. Because also, if you think about it, I mean, we are not experts in any specific field, but we go and work with, say, healthcare, the cultural sector, we work with brands, and the client that we work with are the expert in their field. And so we really thrive from collaborating and talking to them all the time.
The bags that come with the pieces have the almost the instructions, the decoding instructions. So there's obviously some thought to the recipient and helping them read it. But what was the kind of the mindset that you went into with regards to thinking about the recipient of this work?
Yeah, this is, again, a very, very important part. We'll get back to the bags and the legend, but I wanted to say that in general, and also I think this is one of the reasons why I really define myself as a designer more than an artist. I want my work to be legible and understandable. And so crafting a legend, which is really pretty much the instructions for whoever wants to dig into the data to be able to do it, is a very, very important part of my work. And I made a point with them to say, yes, we could do it like loosely data inspired, we could do it data driven, but not explaining. But I do want for people to be able to really understand that there's data behind what they're wearing.
Yes.
But then, of course, and this is also something that I say always, that I don't expect necessarily everybody who buy the dress to nerd out dissecting Ada Lovelace algorithm from the back of the paper bag.
Yeah.
I do want them to know that what they're wearing has a deep meaning, and there is data behind it. And so I think that for me, there's always a balance, and then I'll get to the specific audience, between designing for various degrees and level of engagement with the same piece, whether it is an installation, a magazine, or a piece of garment. I want a person who really wants to dig deep to be able to do it, and a person who just wants to enjoy the pattern and understand that there's a meaning, but really not necessarily getting to do to the nitty-gritty to enjoy it as well. And for this specific project, I knew that most of the people would be attracted by the patterns, and so I wanted them to be beautiful dresses that you could be caught, you can really be interested in going and checking out as you walk in the store because of their aesthetical features. But at the same time, for how we also shaped the campaign, the fact that for every advertisement and video and publicity for the collection that we put out, not only we share the fact that there was a legend and a story, but all of the photos of the patterns were taken with a beautiful model, Nikita, that was posing with the dresses, and me recreating the legend on a kind of like a big cardboard. So that really, even the publicity that went to Vogue, Vanity Fair, and the places that the collection got promoted into, it was really clear that there was a story, and it was really clear. So again, just to back up, yes, the audience to me needed to be attracted by the aesthetics, but also possibly by the stories behind the collection.
That's right.
Thank you for joining us for this Explore, Explain highlights episode. As always, the full episode is available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. We hope to see you again soon on another episode of Explore, Explain.